Hello, everybody. This is Wade back again. We are going to be talking on a subject tonight. We're talking about some things that the do nots in many of our churches. And we're going to see if we can come up with something now. Let me say from the get go, as I've always said, I am not here to down anybody's church. If you like where you are, fine. But sometimes I just think about what so many of us are teaching in our churches. We have gotten, a lot of us have gotten way away from gospel, and we are on the do nots. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about tonight, some of our do nots. And it's really interesting. It's really interesting. You see, we live under grace. The Old Testament was under the law. Excuse me. And some of those things that we are trying to bring from the law over to grace, and it just doesn't work. Jesus had a lot of trouble with the Pharisees, which was a very religious group. Pharisees and the Sadducees, very religious group. And but they followed Jesus around, and they was always trying to find something on him. Everything, the do nots, and you cannot do this, you can't go here, you can't go there, can't do this, and you can't do that. And it has nothing to do with the Holy Scriptures. I'm going to tell you about the Old Testament first. Okay, and women, this is especially for you because I'm telling you, women, you did not want to live in the Old Testament because you was nobody. If you just read through the Bible and you look at the people and when they started naming the children that they have, hardly ever hear a girl's name. But they'll call the boy's name, but when they get over to the girl's name, they'll just talk about and many others or something like that. But very seldom. Every now and then you do, but they were just nobodies under that Jewish law that they had back in those days. I mean, it was really, really sad. So one of them going to talk about is, my wife came up with this. I didn't know about this before. She was reading a book, and she said, "Wait, you ever heard of the red tent?" I said, "The red tent? No." And then she began to explain to me what she had read and what the red tent was. I do know this part. When a woman was on her monthly cycle, she had to go outside. She had to leave the whole camp, go outside of the camp. And that's where the red tent was. They called it the red tent because that's what it was all about. And she had to go out there and she had to stay out there until her period was over. Then she could come back. And if anybody, it was so serious until if anybody came near the women when they was on the monthly, they would have to throw their hands up and say, "Unclean, unclean," just like the leprosy. So I said, "Well, I didn't know that." But that's why they called it the red tent. And that was just one of the things in the Old Testament. First, I'm going to tell you about some of the laws in the Old Testament. And I'm telling you, folks, you did not want to be there. Now, I got some notes down here, so I'm going to look at my notes so I can know which way to go. Okay? If a woman had a baby in the Old Testament under the Jewish law, if she had a baby, if she had a boy baby, she would have to be, she had to be taken away from everybody. She had to go in these upper rooms and they had to stay there. If she had a boy baby, she had to stay in that room. She's not allowed to be around anybody. She would have to stay in that room for a boy baby. She had to stay there for 33 days before she can even come in public. Now, watch this. If she had a girl baby, she had to stay 66 days secluded because she was unclean. That was a story in the Bible. This is not on my note, but I just thought about it. When Jesus was out teaching, and this woman that had the issue of blood, why are you shaking? You ought to be rejoicing, because it was like a cancer. It would actually kill the woman. So now it was always a big crowd around Jesus, always a multitude. Anytime you hear the word multitude, there was a humongous crowd. So she had gone to all kinds of doctors trying to get healed. Every time I think about her, I think about my mother, because that's what my mother died from. When I was born, she suffered a tear and it turned into cancer. And so she would just get on her monthly and it wouldn't stop. She would just bleed out. We had to rush her to the hospital every month to get blood put back into her vein. But when I think about this woman, I believe this is what she had. So she pushed her way through the crowd. Now remember, anybody that she touched, remember what I told you about the red tent? Anybody that she touched while on her monthly, they was contaminated, and it was against the law. She could be stoned. So what she did is, now she pushed her way through all of those men trying to get to Jesus. And all of those women that she touched, everybody that she touched was contaminated. And then when she got to Jesus, and Jesus was talking to somebody else, and she touched Jesus, and the healing virtue went out of Jesus, and it healed the woman. So he asked her, he says, how did she have that? I know when he turned around the church to her, she just started shaking, because she knew she was supposed to be dead. And he said, woman, your faith made you well. I felt virtue go out of me. When you asked me to heal you, bam, she was healed. And guess what? Nobody stoned her. Nobody stoned her. But it was just a bad time, especially for women. And you see, this is for the men. In the Old Testament, under the Old Testament law, if you, like, I'm the youngest in my family, okay? I had 3 other brothers. Okay, if I was under that law, if my brother had a baby, if my brother was married and he died without having children, well, in this case, it wouldn't be me because I'm the youngest, but the next oldest brother, he would have to marry his brother's wife, and hopefully she would get pregnant and have a child. And he had to do that. And the child had to be for his brother. That would be his brother's child. They had some laws back in the day. I think about it sometimes, and I said, Lord, thank you. I didn't have to go through that. And so, let's see. I just want to touch on just a few things tonight about the laws that some of us have in our churches. One of the laws is the laws that when some things have to be done on certain days. Now, if you was a boy baby under that law, under the Old Testament law, if you was a boy baby, you would have to be circumcised the 8th day. Every boy had to be circumcised the 8th day. That was just one of those laws that they had back in the Old Testament. And let's see, some of the things that I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk to you about some of the things that you are not allowed to do if you belong to a certain church. I want to talk about the do nots. Now, the fact is, I got a friend of mine, he's a pastor, and I told him, I said, let's get together and let's go through the New Testament and just see how many do nots that we find there. What I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to name a few. And some of you are going to be able, well, some of you are probably going to be mad with me. But again, what I want to say, I am not out to take anybody from the church or to destroy. I'm not out for any of that. But I do want the churches to, I really like for the pastors to hear this. Okay, let's preach what's in the word. Feed the people. People are tired of hearing about our families and all of this do not. I know one church I was going to, uh, you couldn't wear earrings, especially if you was in the choir. And so I went by. The lady was sitting there. She had her robe on, and I saw her messing with the ears. I said, "You okay?" She said, "Yeah, I got earrings. I got to pull them off because I am not allowed to sing in the choir with earrings on." And then she put them in the purse. Well, you got them in your purse, and when you get out, you're gonna put it right back on. So what is that saying? Well, we had all of these laws like that. You couldn't wear jewelry. I remember this guy, this preacher that was going to marry my wife and I. She was from one of the real street churches, and so he told us, "Yes, I'll marry you, but you can't not wear rings because that's worldly." I said, "My goodness!" And all of these things. And my thing is this, and this is what I say to preachers now, and I do it in a very respectful way. Okay, they tell you cannot do this. So what I say is, okay, my fellow brother, show me that in the Bible. And I'm like that. If you can't show it to me in the Bible, I don't even want to hear because we got far too much of that. Uh, I know a lot of young people. I was a Sunday school teacher, and I was assistant pastor for 29 years. And I run up on some of the people that was on our pastorship, and they're not going to church today. Why aren't you going to church? And they said, "I will never go back to the," I won't name the church, but it's the church that we was in. I'll never go back to another one. I said, "But why?" He said, "Because all we heard, all the times I was in church, all I heard was what I could not do. You can't do this and you can't do that. You can't do this and you can't go there and you can't." I'm really, I can go along with it. I'm so tired of that. I don't know what to do. And so I was just like, just preach the word. It's a lot in that Bible. Just preach the word. And don't make something up. Don't make something out of it that ain't there. So let me see. One of the other things that uh, you couldn't do, now this was always silly to me. Uh, and it ain't just the church. This is our society now. And I want y'all to answer the question. If you saw a lady come in church with her little baby and he has on blue, what would you think? Okay, maybe you say, "Oh, that won't bother me." But what would you think if she had a boy baby and brought him in pink? Most of them, "Oh, boys don't wear pink." Says who? God help us, please. Says who? Who said the boys can't wear pink? Okay. I know y'all, I'm losing a lot of folks right through here. But I mean, these are things that just teach me what the word says. And I love what Jesus said. Jesus didn't have a whole lot of do nots. Most of his was do. This is what you need to, this is what you do. Okay. And I'm sure most of all of y'all know that. No matter what church you're in, but most of them teach you can't drink wine. Oh, we done lost this preacher now. He's gone way out. You can't drink wine. But you know what? Jesus went to a party one time, and it was a gathering where we would call it a party, and they had drank up all the wine. And so somebody said, "Oh, we out of wine." So Jesus's mother found him, and he said, "Son," she said, "Son, they're out of wine." Jesus said, "What are you coming to me for?" And so she went back to the people. She said, "I tell y'all what, Just whatever he asked y'all to do it. So he told them to go get the barrels, big old barrels, fill them full of water. And they did that. And they brought them back, and Jesus blessed them, and it was wine. That water turned to wine. Now, most people would try to defend that or come against that or don't believe that because they're talking about it was grape juice. No, it wasn't grape juice. You know how I know it wasn't grape juice? Because when the wine, when Jesus turned that water to wine, the people that have been drinking, the governor said, wow, this is unusual. He said, usually when we go to a party, go to an outing, usually the person house you at, the host, they would serve the good wine first. And then when they get drunk, then you can take them anything, all of it tastes good. He said, but this time you have saved the best for the last. And what was he saying? He was comparing what Jesus, the wine that Jesus created, that Jesus made. He was comparing that to the wine that the drunk people, the intoxicated wine. So, but he made the best wine. But we say you can't drink it. And then in the scriptures, it talks about the preacher. He was saying the preachers don't drink any wine. But the deacons could drink a little wine. Matter of fact, his Paul, Timothy was having trouble with his stomach, and they had prayed for him. They had done everything because he just had he probably had an ulcer. He was a very timid type guy. And so Paul told Timothy in so many words, I prayed for you, nothing happened. He said, just take a little wine for your stomach's sake. Now, is that contradictory? You said, don't drink no wine. And here's the man of God said, take it, and told the deacons, you can don't have much, don't get drunk off of it. That's what he was saying. And over in Italy, when me and my wife was over there, my son was in the Air Force, we went to visit him. And almost all the men had briefcases. Matter of fact is my buddy, he was in the Army, he was in Germany, he was the same thing. And he asked, and he said, is everybody, do they work in the office? And the people that was there in Germany said, well, why are you asking that? He said, because everybody got briefcase. They said, oh, that's not briefcase, that's that lunch pail. And what they did, and this is actually a true story, over in Italy, the part that we was in, I'll put it that way, they all had briefcases. They looked like briefcases, but what they would do is they would take a bottle of wine and a hunk of cheese. Everybody would do that. And that's what they would eat. But guess what they found out? They found out that they are some of the, in terms of heart condition, they have less heart condition than anybody around the world. And then on the other hand, the Eskimos, I'm not talking about the people that just live there. I'm talking about the people that was born there, the Eskimos. They eat a lot of whale meat, and it's full of omega-3. And they have less heart attacks than anybody in the whole world. So, let's not make something out of it that ain't really there. Okay? Now, am I telling you to go out there and get you a bottle of wine and drink it till you get drunk? No. But I'm saying what Jesus said. I'm telling you, I'm talking about what Paul said. Just drink a little wine for your stomach's sake. It was good for them. All right. Okay, I know about you guys. I know a bunch of you hung up already. All right. Let's see here. I think I mentioned this one to you. Men, well, I don't think I did. I know the church that I was in a long time ago, no name. I had gone to this church. And they called me to the pulpit. And so I was sitting in the pulpit, and the preacher, he went down into the audience, and he was just preaching. He was just preaching. And then he said, I don't know why preachers want to wear red suits to church. And I had on a burgundy. It wasn't red like this you see here. It was burgundy. I still red to me. And I was sitting there, and when he said that, you should have seen the eyes just looking at me. So I just started laughing. And he was gone. And finally, he came back up in the pulpit, and he came back up on the side that I was sitting, and he saw my burgundy suit. He went to the podium, and he said, well, what I was really saying was, I said, no, I don't need to try to fix it now. You said it. You said it. But who said that I couldn't wear a red suit? If I wanted to wear a pink suit, who told me I couldn't do that? I mean, don't make something spiritual out of nothing. We have all these do nots. And I'm going to tell you about some of my relatives. I'm going to put it that way. They told me, I said, why you guys ain't going to church? And they say, and all of them said, I would not go back to they named it my denomination. I would not to go back. I said, why? He said, because all we've ever heard was what we couldn't do. You can't go here and you can't go there. You can't do this and you can't do that. You know, I was in a church. I went to visit a church. It was not the denomination that I'm in, but it was, I noticed that if every woman, if you was a visitor, if you would come in and sit on the front seat, I'm talking about the women now, not the men, I'm talking about the women now. If you would come in, your dress could be down to your ankle. But when you sit down, they had a towel. They all had these little towels, and they would just come and drape across your leg, drape across your lap, because you don't sit on the front seat. But the dress is covering everything. God, please help us. Help us, help us. With all of these little do-nots, and don't have no Bible to back it up. That's my thing. And so I'm some people say I'm backsliding. Well, you can say whatever you want to say about me. But what I want to do, I want to find out. And me and my buddy going to do this. I just really want to just go through everywhere we see where Jesus say, do not, I'm going to mark it off. And you'll be surprised how few you'll see. Jesus want to tell you what to do. All right. And in the denomination that I was in, the women couldn't wear jewelry. You couldn't wear a wedding band. You couldn't wear a necklace around your neck. You couldn't wear a watch. You couldn't wear anything that was considered jewelry because it was sinful. It was worldly. And so when I first went in the church that I was in, my brother-in-law was my pastor. And so, and I had just got saved, you know, I didn't know what all the rules were. And I wanted to know, I asked him, I said, brother, pastor, I want to ask you a question. I noticed you keep, this church preach against lipstick or any kind of makeup. And I said, where are you getting that from? He said, well, the reason was, he said, when this country was developed, a lot of prostitutes came in. And their sign to let you know they was a prostitute, they would paint their lips red. And when you see the red lips, you know that it's a prostitute. I said, oh. I mean, is that what you come up with? And you're preaching like it's a sin? And I tell them quickly, I say, you know what? Some of these women need to put some on their lips, you know, ashy. Oh, too much. But I mean, who said, you can't wear a ring, can't wear a watch, you can't wear a necklace, all this so cannot. So I'm getting close to closing here. So I know some of you are clapping. Yes. Okay. the other thing the young folks were saying that was under, well, it wasn't, I wasn't pastor, I was assistant pastor, and they was under us. And one of the things, they were not allowed to go. They couldn't even go to the prom. Okay, the kids, you can't go to the prom. These kids, that you do not go to the prom because that's worldly. And so, and a lot of them would even go so far is to rent a hall and let the kids come there, but don't go to the prom because you'll be in there dancing. Well, they danced all over the place. There's a whole lot of dancing in the Bible. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? But we make something wrong with it. You know, the other one that really, now this one always did bother me. I just couldn't understand that. In this country, it's traditional for if a father has a daughter and she gets married. Well, one of the number one tradition was she would get up, everybody else would sit down. Her and her father would get up and he would dance with her. But when I got in the church, you don't do that. That's sinful. It says, ooh, what did Jesus say? Oh God, Jesus was down there. I don't know what he was eating, but whatever he was eating, the Jews wasn't supposed to eat it. So he's down there eating, and here come the religious folk. See, if you was really who you said you were, you wouldn't be down here eating with these sinners. And Jesus told on one occasion, they were talking about him. So he told him, he said, you know what? He said, the sick folk, the well folks don't need a physician. It's the sick folks that need a physician. So I'm out here for them. I'm out here to heal them. I'm out here to deliver them. I'm out here to bring them into the fold. Oh, God. People of God. Oh, boy. I love you guys. And I love everybody, even the people, that's got all these rules in the church. I know one man, he was so saved until he believed that it was a sin to go to the doctor. He was a head deacon in the church that my wife used to go to. So we were down in Columbus one time. That's where my wife is from. And we was all in the room, and he was just telling me, no, the Lord heals. It's a sin to go to that doctor. It's a sin. So he went on for a long time with that. Oh, but guess what? One day he came over, and I couldn't believe my ears. I said, no, he didn't. He said, yeah, he said, he had some type of disease. He said, my doctor told me. I said, your what? Told you what? Your doctor? And you've been telling us all of these years that it's a sin to go to the doctor? So you got to, all this sort kind of stuff. This one man, he got saved, and he was teaching some preachers. And I wasn't there, but one of my preacher buddies was there. And he came back, he said, wait, guess what the guy was teaching us? He told us that we need to stay away from women. When we get saved, we need to stay away from women. And he said that, how do you have this? He said, when I got saved, women looked like trees to me. I said, I'm so glad I wasn't there, because I think I would have jumped up and say, preacher, you know what? There's one or two things wrong with what you just said. I would have told him, okay, if women started looking like trees to you, you either lying or you are gay. Now, that is I don't, that's not to cut down gay people, because I don't believe in that. But I would have told him that's the only true reason that they would have looked like that. So people of God, let's let people see Christ in us. We need to go out to where the people are. We always trying to bring the people, come to our church. No, you go out there and get them. Go out there and get them. So I thank God for you guys. And we're going to be doing some teaching Monday nights. It's 6 o'clock. Now, I think it was last week I ran into a situation I couldn't be with you, but I apologize for that. But thank God I'm with you tonight. So just go and enjoy yourself. Enjoy life. Enjoy life. God don't want us to be stale. I don't know what the Christian folks just, I mean, I can't do this, and I can't do this, I can't go there, I can't. And they just always trying to tell people you need to get saved. Well, you drive people. Sometimes let them see your lifestyle. Let them see what you got. And when they see what you got, a whole lot of them really ain't gonna come because I don't want to be like that. It's stale. So let's love one another. Love on people, the people that are not like us. Love on them. And some of you might have been online when I was told you one of the books that I've written is the cry of the gay child. Mom and Daddy, please don't throw me away. And I said that because one of my sons, and I know when he came to Mom, and I know some of y'all said there's too much information, but it's not. This is to help some of you. He called. He said, "Mom and Dad, I got something to tell you." He was a senior in high school, and he told us, he said, "I'm gay." I said, "What?" And he grabbed his mama and he said something that really touched me. He said, senior in high school, he sat down in his mama's lap and he hugged her. He laid his head on her breast, on her bosom, and he started crying. And he said something that really stuck. He said, "Mama, why did God let this happen to me?" And since then, I changed my mind because I was dogmatic. And he looked at me. He pointed his finger right at me. He said, "Daddy," where was you? Where was you at when I needed you most? Oh, God. I started crying. I apologized. And then after then, you see, and I knew God was just getting me ready because I want to teach on this stuff because I went to a gathering. It was all gay people there, a whole house full of them. And I said, "Can I ask y'all a question?" He said, "What?" I said, I say, uh, let me see how to have that. Oh, they don't want me to say it. I say, the church say that you guys, you choose this lifestyle. That's what it was. And when I said that in unison, all of them say, "Wait, who told you that lie?" And then he said something to me. He said, "I want to ask you a question." He said, "Who would choose a lifestyle like this where they're going to be ridiculed by family, government, schools, and everybody? Who would choose that lifestyle?" And it really made me change. Now, I know what the Bible say. I'm not trying to condone. I'm not trying to do that. But in my book, I'm just trying to tell people, listen, because every one of you out there, you got gay people in your family somewhere. You might not know it because they're scared to come forward. But these are human beings. And so I told my son, and he was in college. And right now he's a nurse, and he's doing real good. He's doing really, really good. Uh, but you know, when he was going to nursing school, he had about a half a semester to go, and he called and he was crying. He said, "Mama, Daddy," he said, "I'm quitting school." I said, "You're quitting?" He said, "Yes." We were talking to his mama. I could hear the way she was talking. He said, "Yes." He said, "Because today when I went in school, I guess the people found out that, he was gay." And he said, "Nobody would sit with me. The instructor would have nothing to do with me." He said, "I'm just tired. I'm just tired of running." And so we hung up the phone, and I was crying. My wife was crying. And the next day I told her, when he called back, I said, "Give me that phone." And I told him, I said, "Son, listen." I said, "I can relate to you." And he said, "Dad, how can you relate to me?" And this is what I said. I said, "You see, I grew up, I was born in a rural area in Alabama, way back in the woods. Matter of fact is, I found out later that I was born on what had been a plantation. I said, so I know what it's like to be ridiculed just because. Down there where I was going, I was in southern Alabama. Because I was black, I was not allowed to go in a whole lot of stores. Some stores that you were allowed to go to, you had to go and knock on the window. They had a little window, inner window. And they, what do you want? I want a gallon of milk. So they would close the little window down, and it was just big enough for a gallon of milk to get through. So they would hand you that, and you pay them, but you couldn't go inside of the store. Couldn't go to white schools. One of the schools, they had a big school, and when they were playing football, we would want to go because we were football players. We would want to go. But the only black people that was allowed to come to the football game was football players. And then we had a few little seats sitting in the end zone. So I told him, I said, you know what? I know what it's like to be ridiculed. I know what it's like to be cut down just because I didn't have nothing to do with what the color I was going to be. If I had a choice, and I always use this on people, if I had a choice, my name wouldn't have been, my last name would not have been what it is. My last name would have been Rockefeller because my father was a sharecropper, 8 of us. He's trying to take care of us. Didn't have no indoor toilet. I mean, 8 of us sleeping in one room. And it was just hard. It was just hard. That was one of the reasons that I'm in Michigan today. I was like, I got to get out of the South. But this was back in the 60s. It's a whole lot better now. A whole lot better than it was. But I just used that to tell him that I know I can relate to that. I know what it's like to be ridiculed just because you can't come in here just because. Listen, I asked him, I asked some of the people of the race, did God come and ask you when you was getting ready to be born? Did God come and ask you, okay, is your time has come to get out of this womb and to be? Did he ask you, do you want to be a boy or a girl? Did he ask you, you want to be black or white or anything else? No, you had nothing to do with it. You will come out the color of your parents were. So let's be merciful. God has mercy on us. Oh God. And so many times we do not have mercy. We do not have mercy. I'm going to tell you this, and I think some of you might have heard this before, but I'm going to close with this. It's one lady, she was a Christian. And she would look across the street to her neighbor's house, and the neighbor's window was just always filthy. So she would get on the phone and call her friend and say, you know, my neighbor got that nastiest windows in the whole neighborhood. I need to go over there and tell her. So went on, make a long story short. So one day her friend came to visit her. She said, I'm so glad that you were here. She said, I want to show you something. She said, come and go with me. So she went outside and she said, look at that woman's windows. And the lady looked up there. She said, oh, I can't believe it. She finally washed her windows. So when they turned around to come back to the lady's house that was saying all this, her friend touched on the shoulder and pointed up to her window. Look at your window. Your window was the one that was there, not her. So many times we're looking through dirty glasses trying to make somebody else clean. Okay. All right, good folks. Good Lord's willing. And the creek don't rise. That's what you used to say down in Alabama. I'll see you guys next Monday, 6 o'clock. Have a good one. Okay. All right. And next week I'm going to show y'all how to order my books, and I'm going to show you how to order some tapes. I got some great tapes. I mean, I know that sounds bragging, but I'm not bragging. It is. Everybody looks at it. It's about 60 minutes long, but it's about becoming positive. How to become positive. And everybody just say, this book, you need to get this book out. Well, I got to get them out on the internet so people know. And then one is about the Afro-American woman. She's a thing of beauty. Now, for any other race out there that might be listening, that's not a cut down on you. I'm just talking about our American black women. I tell she's a thing of beauty, and I talk about stopping the bully. Those of you that have kids, the book is on Stop the Bullies. And then one is on our Afro-American woman. She's a thing of beauty. And one is on how to become positive. Is it too late to become positive after being negative so long? And then one is on the Bible. That's a thick book. It's over 600 pages. And I type it with two fingers. I can't type. It took me about 2 years to get it. But it tells you definition of words and sentences and scriptures, and it's excellent. And then one is on well, I got I'm gonna show it to you. I got it right next to me. Okay, one is on 25 keys to unlocking the scripture. Okay, now you can get those Amazon. All you got to do, I think, go to my website, WadeHooks.com, and my website should come up, and the books are on there. And Amazon, I don't know really what they're selling them for, but that's how you can get them. Or you can go to Barnes and Nobles, and they have them. Just mention my name, Wade Hooks, and just tell them the name of the book that you're looking for. Okay, I hope you do that. And I know for you that's trying to make money. Well, that's true, but that's not the only reason. Because, see, books cost money to publish. I mean, big time money. And so when you see the price, I think you're going to like it. But now the one with the tape with it, that's not it. I have those at home because I don't know if Amazon would do tapes or not. But if you want them, you can just get a hold of me. And when I come back next time with the books, I'm going to tell you what the post office box is. So, and you can and they're really inexpensive. It's only about $13. And a lot of that is for the mailing, for the cost. Okay? All right. Hope to see you. God bless you guys. And sleep real good tonight. All right. Night, night. I always have trouble getting the lady that told me about it. Oh, I know what it is. That is.